ValleyTalk.com.
He's good.
Io sono carnero, recoge el fruto, no como tú.
Okay, welcome back to the Central Valley Buzz. I'm your host, Chuck Leonard. Let's get this out of the way right now. You guys want some free food? This hour is from Watts Family Barbecue. Here's what you got to do. Go to CentralValleyTalk.com. Go to the Enter to Win tab, and in the subject line, put barbecue. You could win a free barbecue chicken sandwich or ribs and fries from us at Watts Family Barbecue. Enter now. And you might want something to wash that down with. How about a cold brew from Pendragon? House of Pendragon?
Pendragon.
Pendragon.
Yeah.
How's it going? Nice to have you.
Thank
Justin,
you for having
right?
me. Tom.
Tom. Oh, I'm sorry. Tom. Now, you guys have just moved to Clovis?
Well, we've been open for a little over a year. We have our main brewery in Sanger,
Right.
and that's where we do all the manufacturing and brewing and stuff. And then we just opened up our public tasting room in Clovis, off of Willow and Knees.
Right next to our buddy Len Ruggiero from Mother Mary's.
Mhm.
He was on the show yesterday and spoke a little bit about you guys.
Oh, cool.
About how you're bringing his food over to your place.
Yeah, Lynn's a really good guy.
He's a
Yeah.
super cool
Good
guy.
food too, really good food.
Let's talk about how you got into the beer business.
Well, I started off in 2006. I had just got married, and I was just home late night one night, and I was bored watching TV, nothing on but the History Channel, and something came on about brewing beer, history of beer, and there was a small little segment on there about home brewing. Didn't even know that was legal. Thought it was something you do in your bathtub or something like that.
Right.
So, well, it got me interested. These guys looked like they knew what they were doing. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. Why don't I try doing that? So the very next day, I found a homebrew shop here in the Tower District,
Bencomo's, right.
Went down there. They set me up with a little basic kit. Nothing fancy.
How much did you spend the first time?
I think like $50.
Right,
or
it's
something
not
like
that much.
Yeah.
And
it
what did you
was-
get, 5 gallons?
Yeah, it was about stuff to make about 5 gallons of beer. I had no clue what I was doing.
And you got the container to make it in?
a bucket, and
What kind of
yeast
container
and-
does a kit like that make beer in?
It's
it
like a plastic
Yeah.
bucket. I think they gave me. It was like a little starter kit.
Right.
And so I took it home. I read all the directions they gave me, and I put the ingredients in there and pitched yeast in there so it could ferment. And I put it out in my balcony, and I left it alone for a couple of days. So I came back a couple days later. I peeked in the bucket to see what was going on there, and I saw this weird foam junk and a weird
Did
smell.
it when you opened it up?
No, not quite. It just kind of like looked like it was foaming, and I'm like, that doesn't look like beer. So I took the bucket and I dumped it. I thought I did something wrong. Turns out later that's what fermentation is,
Right.
and that's what the smell of fermentation or the yeast gives off during fermentation. Well, after that, I was like, well, I saw those guys on TV. They were using grain and all these cool ingredients. I go, there has to be a better way of doing this.
Because when you got your, was it all powder? Was it just a
It
real
was like a
easy
malt
mix?
extract. It was
Right.
like real sticky syrup kind of thing, and then you boil it and you add some hops in it. I was like, this can't be brewing.
Right.
This can't be brewing. So so I found a better way of doing it. Instead of going out and buying more ingredients, I went and educated myself. I started reading. I started listening to podcasts and stuff like that, and then it just got to the point where. I joined our local homebrew club, the San Joaquin Warthogs.
Right, I know those guys.
And then I got to the point where the passion became so great that I ended up going to school for it.
Where do you go to school to learn how to make beer?
Well, there's a school called the Siebel Brewing Institute. It's out of Chicago. It's the oldest brewing school in the United States.
So you went to Chicago to learn how to make beer?
I wasn't able to go to Chicago. They have the same course. They would go to Chicago online.
Okay.
So it's a little bit longer since you're not really there. So I had to take it. It took about 4 months or so.
But you're learning yourself all along the whole way, right? Because you're
Yeah.
making beer the whole time at this
Sure.
point, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What was the first one you made that you were like, you know what, that's a good beer?
I think I kind of hit it when I realized this is where I wanted to go when I made my double IPA, which
Okay.
is an Imperial IPA.
You got my attention.
Yeah, it was really good. I was like, oh man, this is what I've been looking for. You know, this is the beer I think I want to brew for the rest of my life. You know, got me going. But yeah, it's after that I ended up getting a job with Tioga Sequoia Brewing Company.
Okay.
I was their assistant brewer for a little over a year, and I ran their quality control department too in their lab. And I was there for a little over a year, like I said, and then I just decided that it was my time to go off on my own and do my own thing, and here I am.
So you go out and you buy a big barrel.
Well, not quite.
How big of a barrel do you buy the first time? I mean, when you're going into business to bottle it, you can't do 5 gallons at a time.
Well, I don't bottle. All my beer is strictly draft.
Okay.
The only I bought a bottle today, but I just pulled it off of one of our kegs at the brewery. So, we don't do any bottling. It's just strictly draft beer. And then right now, unfortunately, all the beer that we're producing is just going straight to our tasting room right now because we can't keep up. So
people are digging on it.
Yeah, we're probably going to run out of beer this week. So if you want to get a chance to taste it, you might want to come this week. We might have to close down next week.
Wow.
So
how long does it take from start to finish?
On average, normal ale will take about 3 weeks or so.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what about those hoppy IPAs and stuff?
I can pull those off about 3.5 weeks.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you bring us today?
I brought us our blonde ale. It's our English blonde ale. We call it our hopped English blonde ale. Hop is because if you abbreviate House of Pendragon, it spells out hop. So that's why we call it that. Get my trusty bottle
Let's
opener.
talk about the tasting room and the hours
Sure.
and all that good stuff.
Right now, since we're limited on capacity, we're only open Thursday through Sunday. And today we're open Thursday from 3 to 10. And Friday, Saturday, we're open from 12 to 12. And Sunday, we're open 12 to 9.
So what's in the future for Pendragon?
Expansion. We really need to expand our brewery so we could open up more days at the tasting room. And then also get to the point where we start getting beer back out into the market, get them back to some of the great places here in town like Spokeasy and Doss Beer House and Pease Public House.
You know what I'd like to see? And you're too young to remember the Coors Party Ball.
Yeah.
Okay, but what was that thing, like 20 gallons or something? And it's this big plastic ball that you'd buy. Now, I see a lot of local brewers putting it on tap and putting it in bottles. But, man, I want to see that portable little party go.
It was just a big ball?
Yeah, it was really cool.
I got to Google that.
Yeah. Okay, House of Pendragon.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take a sip. While I taste this, I want you to tell the people why it's called House of Pendragon.
Well, when I was trying to figure out the brewery, what I wanted to call it, I wanted something that was different. Everybody's going local this, local that. I wanted to set myself out apart from everybody else. So back to the History Channel again. I was bored one night and watching the History Channel, and something came on about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and somewhere along the lines they mentioned that King Arthur's last name was Pendragon. And I said, well, that's a pretty darn cool name. And I think I could build a brewery theme around that. And so I started researching it, and I'm like, this is really cool.
Sounds like we need to get you out.
Yeah.
All right, House of Pendragon. Go check them out at Willow and Knees.
Willow and Knees.
Right next
Northeast
to Mother
corner.
Mary's, right there. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. How about some live music? Coming up next, Mr. Roger Perry.
Woo!